That eastbound 12 is crawling. Who's the incompetent bastard on her? He better his ass in the clear fast!
Get your ass out here, man. We got a runaway on 11.
Central, where are you, Central? God damn it.
I'm here, Pulaski. What seems to be the trouble?
We got a runaway on track 11. The goddamn engineer fell off the train.
You sure nobody else is on board?
How the hell do I know?
Well, when I first got involved with Runaway Train, I got a call that there was a role in a movie that was in production with John Voight and Eric Roberts, and I think someone had fallen out of this role. And I went to the set, and they were shooting at the Pan Pacific Auditorium in Pan Pacific Park here in Los Angeles. And I remember walking onto the set, and there was Voight, right? He was standing there in full makeup. There was a big mock-up, a wooden mock-up of the train, and it was for all the close-ups and stuff. You know, when he's going around the train and his hand gets caught, I think. And he was terrifying because he's quite tall, and he had the eye thing, and you know, his teeth were all screwed up, and he's like looking at me and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And so then an AD found me, and I went into the trailer to meet with Andre. And I think I had gotten the script the day before, and I read it overnight, and I thought about it, and I sat down with Andre during a break. We talked for maybe a half an hour, not long. And I think that night they said, you start on Monday, and this was maybe a Friday. So it was very, very quick. And I was, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, we were planning a trip to Europe in like 2.5 weeks. You know, the tickets were purchased and we were ready to go. I was like, oh my God, I've got to do a movie in here, okay. So it was very, very quick. And I was on the set that Monday morning.
She's gaining speed real fast. She'll hit your territory in no time. The brakes are burning up.
Are you nuts? The brakes on the runaway have burnt off.
How in the fuck did that happen? Didn't they check it?
Hey, the throttle must be jammed wide open in Run 8.
Oh, damn.
I believe it was his first American film. Andre was very intense, a very bright guy. And he knew what he wanted. Andre knew the note he wanted Frank Barstow to be in this orchestra he was conducting. And when we talked about it in that meeting, I actually used the word, or he did, I said, so you want me to kind of be a chihuahua? Kind of a, so the image in my head was of a small barking dog, was the image that I used for myself throughout the film, and one that Andre agreed with.
Mr. Barstow, I have 2 very dangerous prisoners on the loose.
I don't give a shit if your whole goddamn prison's on the loose. I got a killer train on my hands with 3 goddamn people on board, and I got no free tracks left to play with.
Right.
So do me a fucking favor and get lost, or I'm gonna have your ass kicked out of here! On the double!
I approached the character, I looked at it, I diagrammed it out, I arced it. I knew that my character had to start at one place and end up at a different place. He starts out, Frank Barstow starts out very cocky. I know what I'm doing, I got this, guys, I got this. And I end up in a different place. I think it's interesting, especially at this moment with the shuttle that just came to Los Angeles, that the last thing you watch me see is the shuttle taking off into space, which might have been the first shuttle launch, I believe. So that's very funny. We've come full circle, haven't we? And I had to be defeated at the end. And my line, which was, you know, with all this technology, you know, why couldn't we stop this? And that's a universal truth. I think it rings so true even now. With all this technology, why can't we stop wars? Why can't we stop hunger? Why can't we? It's a universality that is timeless, which I think helps make the film timeless.
Why couldn't we stop it with all this junk? I mean, with all this high technology.
We shot 3 cameras. I believe it was 3, at least 2, all of the time. So Andre always had his coverage. Andre was very intense. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he'd be willing to do whatever he needed to get it.
You keep an eye on her. I'm gonna go take a leak.
Do that.
The scene in the bathroom, which is really funny. When I shot, it's very funny about that scene in the bathroom when Rankin puts my head in the toilet. There's a very funny French version on YouTube of just that scene of me yelling in French. And the guy who did it sounds like me. I don't know where they got this guy, but it's pretty funny. But I post it periodically because it's so funny. Now, when they shot that scene, they had the toilet, and they had been cleaning it all day. It was for separate, and they brought me over. They said, Kyle, this is the toilet your head's going to be going in, and it's absolutely pristine. And it was, you could have eaten off that toilet. It was pristine. Now, we're not going to put urine in it. We're going to use apple juice. And it was a very nice, kind of unfiltered apple juice. Very nice. Very tasty. And so they said, you know, when you put your head in, it's just going to be, you know, a nice filtered water and some filtered apple juice, and, you know, your skin will look terrific. So that's all it was. And it was great to do that because they did it in one shot. He pushed my head in, he threw me out, he pushed me against the wall, and that was all in one. That was all in one shot. So I think they came in later, you know, for close-ups, but they were able to get that, which was very motivating for me in terms of the fear I had from Rankin. I had about Rankin easily motivated because I just had my head almost flushed down the toilet. And Rankin was so intense, and they did a very interesting thing when they shot that scene when he came in the close-up to me and he was threatening me, you know, you tell me where they are, you know, or you're gonna whatever. Andre did an amazing thing. He reflected a flame in Rankin's eyes. They had a propane torch, and it was, I believe it was off to my left, but from camera, it's reflected in his eyes. And I think you could really only see it on the big screen, but it's very slight. But it gave him a very devilish look, but it's very subtle. But it's things like that I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, because I could see the flames because he was 2 feet or a foot in front of me, but I could see the flames flickering in his eyes. It was fantastic.
I'm gonna kick your teeth and you're playing with me. You tell me real straight, got it? You tell me how to find that train with the helicopter.
Yeah. I'll show you.
Golan and Globus, they were not around very much. I was there maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. Maybe they walked through once. I don't remember. I believe they were there maybe once. I seem to remember them standing back by the door. I knew they had the Chuck Norris franchise, and they were big hirers at that time. So they were doing a lot of product. The film was released. I remember the party. I remember going to the, I remember we went to the premiere. It was at a theater on Westwood Boulevard. And everyone was there. I mean, it was star. Of course, Chuck Norris was there. And I remember Kevin Costner was there, who was not yet a star. And, but people were talking about him, so I knew who he was, and he was there. It was magical. The film was released. The reviews were stunning. They were absolutely stellar. It was the first time I heard my name mentioned on the radio. Gary Franklin gave his radio review, which said, "Oh my God, this movie's fantastic. John Voight, Eric Roberts, Rebecca De Mornay, Kyle T. Heffner, they should all get Oscars," you know. Of course, 2 of us did. 2 of us were nominated. So it was pretty fantastic.
And still the welterweight champion, Manny.
I thought the Academy Award nominations for Eric and John and the cinematographer were very well deserved. In rewatching the film last night, I have it on VHS. I have my old VHS that I bought many years ago, and I found it, and the only VHS player we have is in a TV in the kitchen, which is the TV combined with the VHS player, and I was sitting in there in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, watching it on a 13-inch screen, and I got chills. I got absolute chills. Those performances are raw. The fear that John was able to instill in Eric was mesmerizing, and John's intensity when he finally becomes an animal is absolutely horrifying. And again, another universality, and I believe why the film is timeless is because Andre was able to elicit from John the horror one feels or sees when we see the human condition lowering itself to being a pure animal. And when Voight becomes a pure animal, it's mesmerizing and frightening. And we all understand that we all have that inside of us.
You're gonna learn, kid. It's all up here. I'll cross the stinking thing! I'll cross it! I'll cross it!
When the film was released, a huge critical success, and not necessarily a blockbuster at the box office, the kind of promotion they did, perhaps, I'm not sure because I don't remember clearly, but perhaps I'm thinking about it now, I believe what they did was they promoted it in a similar way to the Chuck Norris franchise and their other movies. And I believe the public misunderstood exactly what was happening. Nowadays, this film would have been released in 3 theaters, and it would be at the Landmark or someplace like that, and it would allow the word of mouth to grow, and they would treat it like the rare jewel that it is. But they didn't do it that way. I think they went out. I think they did release it, I think a week or 2, very limited release, but they didn't wrap it in velvet at all. And I don't think the kind of promotion they did was this is special, this is new for Canon. If they had done that, perhaps their brand would have changed. They could have moved their brand, perhaps.
The whistle! The goddamn whistle's blowing! The railing is out! Run, old man, run! Line her through! Somebody's blowing the goddamn whistle on that train, Mr. McDonald, and you would have killed him just like that!
When I look at my career and I look at the different films, and I've been very lucky, when you take a role and you get a job, and especially at that point, you're thinking, yes, I've got a job. That's really what you're thinking about. I've got a job, I'm going to make some money, it'll be great. I'm going to go to Europe, my pocket will be full of cash when I'm on the Champs-Elysees, it'll be great. In looking at the roles I've done over the years, you don't set out to be in a classic film. You just take the job and you do it to the best of your ability. This one was very quick. My lead-in time was 3 days before I started. Andre was very patient with me. The film is not as widely known as some of the other films I've been in. And yet, I do meet people. There'll be someone who'll come up to me and they'll say, Runaway Train.
Okay, next hurdle. Come on, big train, I'll slap your fat diesel ass. Come on!